A worn path. It was December, a bright frozen day in the early morning. Far out in the country, there was an old Negro woman with her head tied in a red rag, coming along a path through the pine woods. Her name was Phoenix Jackson.
Miss Welty, how did you come to write the story?
I can really answer that about the only story I've written that I know how I happened to write it. I went out in Jackson. There were a good many painters that I knew. I didn't know any other writers then. And I used to go out with them when they were painting into the countryside around. And I would sit there and read or have a good time. And I was doing that one day, and I looked up, and in the distance, this was out on the old Canton Road, and I saw this figure moving across almost the horizon, the very end as far as I could see, of an old lady who was in the worn path, as it turned out. But I watched her in a kind of dream make a slow way across the landscape, and I could tell she was bent on going somewhere. She wasn't just out. She had a purpose, and it conveyed itself to me across the silent landscape. And I hadn't thought about it as being a story, but I just took her in. And after I went home, I wrote the story. I gave her the kind of errand I thought she would have, because she looked as if it were outside herself.
She's already halfway through her journey, and she says, something always takes a hold of me on this hill and pleads that I should stay. What do you think is pleading that she should stay?
She had very serious things that would plead she should stay. I mean, everything was against her doing this, I think. I mean, her old age and the physical task was really beyond her, what she was doing. But it didn't occur to her not to go. I mean, the journey was sort of a ritual that she did perform in aid of this little boy.
How did you come up with the name of Phoenix Jackson?
I think that name, of course, it is rather symbolic, but I would not have done it except that whenever I was writing Mississippi stories, I did things that were done here. I used to read all the county papers in Mississippi. I had a job where I had to do that. And I noticed how many names in it were classical names and, you know, things handed down in the family, but things, now you don't hear names like that, but you did then, you know, Latin names and names out of the Bible and all of that. I knew she'd have a name like that. But then, and there was somebody named Phoenix. I saw it used somewhere in the paper. But it's a perfect name for her because it was, you know, year after year she did it, or day, maybe Sunday after Sunday, I don't know. But she rose again like the phoenix.
Tell me about the little boy giving her the marble cake.
I think what she would think of, she herself, would be a gift of some lovely thing to eat. You know, like what my guardian angel will bring or something like that.
How did you come upon the hunter?
But I wanted the contrast between her attitude toward the whole world and what she was doing and his. As he was out to take something by killing it, you know.
Right.
I just wanted to show something else, some other danger she might encounter on that trip. That was another one.
He treats her in sort of an ambiguous way. He helps her, but then he aims the gun at her.
And he's a bully too, you know, just that tease, you know, pretend he's going to shoot her. That kind of insensitivity would be easy to encounter, and for her too. But she was able to meet him, and she held her own.
How does Phoenix Jackson feel stealing that nickel? How do you think, does she feel bad about that or good about that? Or
I think it was necessary. You know, it was one of the tasks she had set herself to go. to take something to this little boy. I mean, and she was just hoping it would fall her way. That fell her way. She didn't do anything to trick anybody.
No.
But she was ready to pounce on it if it came, because she knew enough.
Of what was important.
Yeah, right. That's the key. What was important.
What is that? Talk about the lady that comes and ties Phoenix's shoes.
I thought that was very true. I mean, Phoenix would expect somebody to be that kind. She also knew the kind of lady to ask. Another lady like her. And sure enough, she asked one who was a real lady. She was glad to do it. She knew. And I thought that was a truthful interpretation, a truthful picture of the two races confronting, meeting each other on the street like that.
I know you've often been asked by teachers and students, is Phoenix Jackson's grandson really dead, actually dead? And I'm a little perplexed by that, but I just like you talk so eloquently about that in your book, I Have the Story, to explain your feelings.
I felt that I had to say something because my mail was full of, and a teacher would get all of her students to write me a letter to ask me that question. It does not matter. I mean, it would happen as it did. I mean, she would go through this experience for him, whether he was still living to her knowledge or not. I mean, I don't mean she'd go thinking he was dead, but I mean it wouldn't occur to her that was a part of it. Right. That it might be in the cards that it was too late, but that could not possibly get through to her. She would have done it anyway. So it's the act that matters, regardless of what might be the changing circumstances of it. That wasn't as important as the act and her reason for going. But I think he's really alive, but it would be the same story even if he weren't. I mean, what she did is the story.
Why do you think that when Phoenix gets to the office, she forgets the reason for her mission?
I think that's a normal human experience. You may not have that, but I do. You know, just, what am I doing here? You know, why did I come? I think what it is a sense of something being over. You know, she's made it. She did it. And she's sort of let down. But not too much. I mean, I just wanted to indicate it, not to make too much of it.
I just think it underscores so beautifully the effort of this journey. That now she's
good, and
at peace for a minute.
And then she's so old that things must seem fleeting to her when they happen. You know, is it over? You know, have I done it? I imagine. I don't know. I didn't think those things through by logic or anything. It just came when I was thinking of the character. I knew what the character would do. So anything I'm saying now will be what I'm analyzing afterwards.
Right.
But not when I was writing it. A worn path. It was December, a bright frozen day in the early morning. Far out in the country, there was an old Negro woman with her head tied in a red rag, coming along a path through the pine woods. Her name was Phoenix Jackson.